And good morning, America. We want to get right to Hurricane Dorian. Category 5 storm hitting the Bahamas, heading for the southeast. One of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes in recorded history.
And the storm leaving so much devastation in its path.
Wind gusts of 200 miles per hour. You can see what it's doing here, and off in the distance, those waves crashing against the pier.
Once I heard about, the devastating effects of Dorian and really how bad it was, I just decided to just on a whim, just close up shop and dive in. And the idea was, we're just gonna literally go to the airport, find a plane to get on, and clear the runway, just so we can get relief efforts into Albuquerque.
Reports are reaching us by satellite phone from my nephew in Marsh Harbor that yesterday evening at the Regattas Point in the yellow building there in Marsh Harbor, they had a secure apartment and they were commandeered by the Haitians to move out of their apartment, and the gentlemen, they took over the entire apartment complex there at Regattas, and of course they had to run for their lives. So a lot of people are getting desperate, and those who are without accommodations, some of them are misbehaving and taking charge of other people's homes, and so the situation is getting very desperate. So we really, really need security on the island at this time.
Drive from the church, and if you can travel probably in couple 2 or 3 cars versus everybody trying to get out there, know there's a lot of vehicles out there.
In total, it was about 13 of us, and the experience was, oh man, something that I would never forget. We arrived, we landed on the strip, and it was barely big enough for the plane to land. So once we arrived, we all kind of, got out and assessed the area. And literally, it was just looking back at the terminal, it seemed like an ocean between where we were and the terminal. It's kind of like a post-apocalyptic scene. Like, if you would imagine just a bunch of cars parked at the airport from persons who travel last, but they're all kind of tumbled on each other like Lego, basically, broken glasses. And it's just chaotic.
Me personally, I was working at the airport on Marsh Harbor, and the winds, and when I heard that feel, that voice hit, and I walk outside to go look and see from by the glass, and I saw cars getting thrown out, trees flying, palm trees getting dropped down, waves coming, people texting saying certain places down. I was a little frantic, but I had to keep my cool because I was basically watching over people. So I was able to try and keep my composure plenty, you know.
There was a guy, he was holding on to his children and his mother, and his hand started to come off, so he just had to let go and let his mother and the children go, and his hand come completely off, and they had to fly him out last night.
I grew up here in Abaco, and I was here in '99 when Floyd came through. And
it looks like a war field. Like the house crumbled around us, and we had no choice but to run in the middle of the storm. And then we sat in a car for 17 hours and we finally just somehow miraculously got here.
When the first eye came over, the calm was, man, the people flocked into Zion Baptist Cathedral. And what happened is the roof flew off. And down in the dining hall, the windows start popping. The roof at the lodge hall, we have a lodge upstairs with 5 bedrooms, all of the roof going. Down at the bottom, we have a dining hall. We had about 200 or more people in there. Water coming down. We sleep with our feet in water all night.
To my family in Nassau, this your brother Joseph Knowles in Abaco. My house got damaged, my cars, but God be the glory, I'm good. I'm planning to fly to Nassau as soon as I can get out here to see you guys.
This is me, all kids. I can't even speak properly now because that's how happy I am where God has brought us from. These my nieces and nephew, we all in the church. Yeah. It was so bad. We had to stay in the bus every night from the storm. But God kept us. We sing songs to the Lord. We pray through the whole thing. Amen. That's what we did. Yeah. And we stay in the church and in the bus. Yeah. Sleep in the bus, cook and eat in the church. Yeah. And we carrying on to wait for the Lord. Amen.
I have blisters on both of my feet because I was in wet shoes for whatever from the hurricane. I had 2.5 feet of water in my so this is the door that they broke in, and as you can see, it's just a piece of plywood there now. And I was standing on the outside and made everybody get out. So Officer Ferguson actually camped here.
Oh wow!
At night, he sat here to give me some rest, and he was here.
So where is he now?
They called him back to the station. We knew that looting was going on from earlier. The morning after, they broke into here. I had to come from across the pathway there and scare the looters away and try to save this place for exactly the purpose that it's being used for now. For my wife and I, our apartment is completely destroyed, our cars are destroyed, most of our clothing is non-existent. And I mean, I know that's a story for thousands of people, but after having to get the looters out at gunpoint, an Officer Ferguson, I can't remember his number, he is a phenomenal guy. He helped me secure the door. I mean, obviously the people were very desperate, and we knew that, so we tried to help the staff that were here. We were trolleying stuff out. We couldn't let them in because we knew we'd lose control. So we had them at the door, and we were handing stuff out as fast as we could, but it became too overwhelming. There was no other help, so we had to actually, well, they had an accident out there. A young man actually accidentally shot himself out there. And once that happened, I just said, that's it, everybody just get away, move away. And we boarded up the door, as you'll see it outside now, put a vehicle against it. And we just stayed here until police and defense force showed up.
Hey, hey, hey! Yeah. Oh, no. We was right here over in the school.
Yeah, by BTC. Those here is the church member. I'm the pastor of the church.
Right, that's supposed to be getting sent now. What is your quick? Who's the quick book? That's my person. Is that? I hear you. That's mine. You that woman fight. Woman fight you. No. Listen. I was over in the house with my wife. Is your wife? Yes. Why you went? Stay back there. Why you going up to see us?
Yeah, this to be my resident. Brother was here with my old lady, my mom. Sister them take her to Freeport, but my handicapped brother, he didn't want it to leave, so I had to stay here. 2 o'clock is when the big flood came in. I was trying to reel my brother out, but he's saying he really didn't want to come out. I mean, because he didn't know where to go. I said, well, we have to go, we can't stay here, but he started pull back, so he wanted to get up in the bed, so I tried to come up with some kind of solution. My intention was to break out the window, which I did, and try to see if I could get to his window here and get him out. But when I broke out the window, I unexpectedly like a 6 foot, like 5 feet water, what I fell into, and I went to the south side of the building and tried to get to that window, and that's where I met a deep current take me into the woods, and I was seems like it's taking me to the south side, to the ocean that's like 1,200 feet from here. But I was able to hop onto a tree, and that's where I spent my hurricane, up in a tree with flooded ocean water, taking beat from debris and all that. But I mean, like what I went through, it was the help of the Lord, because at one point I feel like since I missed my brother, and I know he was handicapped, he was helpless.
So what happened to your brother?
He went missing. That's the last time I heard from him. My neighbor went missing, and then my next door neighbor here, him and his wife and his 18-year-old daughter went missing.
After coming this here actually was our little weight room area. And this is our utility area. So we had to go through that door. And as you can see, the water level there. After looking through the back and we came to the front, we realized everything was already crowded and flooded with water. My husband quickly said, let's go up in the attic. I knew I couldn't do the attic. I knew right off the top because it was too dark. I couldn't swim because we had no idea how high the water level would have come. So we tried to make a run for it, and when we did, we looked at the water, gushing at us, coming out of the bush, over the road, into the yard. So that was very frightening, extremely. And you had all the neighbors running, trying to get out for safety. That's when I quickly called to the family, like, I gotta go. The house is getting flooded. We have to go. Yeah. And that's up to my eye level.
Hey, I'm 6'5", right? Look at how high the water came to my shoulder. So all these people who are shorter than me, like the 5s and the 6'1s, see, this is where you would be. This is one community. I mean, some other communities have been up 30 feet, but look at this. This is 5 feet. This is 60 inches, I know. I do some carpentry as well. This is 60 inches. Inside the house, inside and outside the house, and look around. It's a whole community. So this whole community here was underwater.
This is what happened during the hurricane. This is the first stage of what we're seeing of the height of the water in this house in Hawksbill. As you can see, it was almost about 6-7 feet of water. We started to take down the sheetrock that was already starting to mildew. The reason why we didn't stay here in the hurricane because we had a previous flood that was 4 feet high. In the house, it has about 2 inches, but outside was 4 feet. And by the time we get out of the house, everything was floating. Now, we decided to move at 8 o'clock that night of the hurricane. We went from Hawksbill to Heritage. From Heritage to Yeoman Woods. From Yeoman Woods, we ended up on Spinney Road. We had to move actually 3 times to get no water.
And we just rode out the worst hurricane we ever had. During the height of the hurricane, the building actually vibrated with 200+ miles an hour winds. We made 8 rescues the first evening and about another 7 thereafter. So right now we're using the building as a small emergency center for the folks we rescued. Now we're going to the main terminal where we have set up as a main living area because very few buildings are left standing in Marshall. So the people we rescued, we have staying in the terminal with us. During the height of the hurricane, right? Mm-hmm. The building actually was vibrating 200+ miles an hour winds, and the building just vibrated, but it held intact. We had some water leaks and all that, but I'm impressed with that building. It was worth every penny they spent on that. Every penny. Impressive. This vehicle was on the side of Bahamas Customs and Immigration. At one point, the box started to lift up, and about 10 minutes later, the vehicle actually took off, and it ended up here. Welcome to Sanctuary City Marshall International Airport. As you can see, we're coming in. Some of the gentlemen, some of the residents. We have a lot of kids and whatnot. We have 2 sides. One of the terminal check-in counters there. Half of us live there. The other half live on the opposite side. Look at me. We've commandeered the restaurant here. All the food stuff there, and as well as the restaurant in the back, because you can't get no supplies in to keep the kids happy and fed. Also, what our rules is, as at night, we'll keep the doors open during the day, but we will always have somebody on security at all times. That is not an exception. Right now is a state of emergency in the island, so somebody must be on watch at all times for our safety as well as the kids.
When you think about what took place started with Dorian, every home for the first time in Hawkesbury was flooded. We noticed since the dredging and the water keep coming up higher. The furthest it ever reached was probably by the gas station. But now it's all the way up to the top of the hill. And the cancer rate here is so high. And there are people in these homes after flood who are suffering from cancer. Now the houses have mold. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but there are a lot of people here in Hawkesbury and the surrounding areas that are devastated by the storm and their ailments also. So I don't know what's going to happen.
But by 10:30, I got a message from a relative. When she messaged me, she asked me, she said, "Cuz, you know, the water's right now at ankle level. What you think we should do?" I said, "Well, get out of there." I said, "Because you don't know if it's gonna stop." So an hour later, she calls me, she tells me, "Well, the water's at waist level now." And I'm like, "Why are you still there?" So I said, "I'm coming." So I took the jet ski out again with my two guys. We had a lot of difficulty navigating to get our way in the back of town because downtown was pretty much 3-4 feet underwater at that time. When I got to the area, my guy jumped in the water and he realized that it was so deep he couldn't touch the bottom. He thought he could, you know, walk in. And he said, "No, I got to get closer." So we went really right up onto the house with the jet ski. The water this time was pretty much, I'd say about 5'8", so it was about a foot lower than the door height. It's like chest height right now. So my two cousins were there. I rescued them and I left one of my guys back at my truck. That evening, we actually attempted another rescue, and we determined that it was still just too safe. The eastern part of the island at that point just looked like open ocean. You know, you're talking about 6 to 8 foot seas and just water. You couldn't see a structure. You barely could see trees. It was just intense wind, intense water.
So that first night was kind of rough because none of the guys has ever been on, you know, this type of situation before.
I too was rescued by the Ramseys. My house is completely gone right now. Me and my 4 children were there right in the middle of everything, and just in the midst of the eye calming down, we were rescued by them and they were able to bring us here.
Right now, there's a lot of things changing. You know, right now there's a lot of focus on Abaco and Grand Bahama, that a lot of people are being evacuated and coming here. Shelters are being set up here. We had our systems kind of in place the last few days in terms of what was going to Abaco, what was happening in Grand Bahama. Now, as of yesterday, because there's a ton of shelters starting to open here in Nassau, we're having to change what we're doing. But you know, as of yesterday, all the shelters, we're feeding all the shelters that are here opening up. Grand Bahama, our team that's there, we had a ship that's over there, landed our team. They've been feeding all the shelters there now. Abaco, we've been cooking out of the kitchen here, and we're transporting. We have 3 helicopters and a seaplane that twice a day are flying from food that we're preparing here at Atlantis and taking it over to Abaco to feed. Right now, we're doing right about over 20,000 meals a day. That number seems like it's starting to rise as more and more people are being evacuated to here. But yeah, as of right now, it's about 20 to 25,000 that we're feeding per day. We always like to do sandwiches just in case, because it's simple, it's portable, it transports easily. The hot food, you know, a lot of people with electricity or no gas or no water, they don't have access to the hot food, so you know, a hot plate of food makes a major difference. So
I think just partnering with WCK has been a great thing, and it's really awesome to be able to coordinate our efforts and support them in getting what they need right away. We've been able to divert a lot of our stocks and things that were in the pipeline to them, so to make it facilitate faster, and also using our logistics and our networks to make sure they get what they need in a timely fashion.
People are so amazing in the Bahamas. I've been to Abaco a couple times, and I just need to get out here. Booked my flight as soon as Jose set up camp, and now we're just here feeding as many people as we can. And it's been amazing to have the Atlantis host us. These guys have been above and beyond. The whole kitchen support, their chefs, stewards, just everybody. It's one huge team, and it's really amazing to see everybody working together to feed. You know, we're feeding 25,000 plus people a day now, and it feels great. I've been on the ground here now for about 3 days, so just got here on Saturday morning, and pretty much we've been working around the clock. You know, just everybody's tireless here, and you don't even feel it because everybody's just working diligently just to take care of people. It's in our DNA as chefs to take care of people and to feed people, and that's what we're doing. We're making some chicken curry. This is our 4th batch today, so probably enough to feed, I'd say, a good 10,000 people.
From Jersey, I'm on vacation, and I'm helping out to do the right thing.
Well, they're not coping really well. There's a lot of confusion out there. There's a lot of anxiety. People have lost absolutely everything. The majority of Haitians that we've found that are from Abaco have never in their lives visited Nassau. And so they're here in a state of confusion. They do not have family members living in Nassau. A lot of the Haitian families, no matter where you would find them, oftentimes the individuals that are living in any particular household, that is it. There's no other sister, brother, auntie, uncle. So in that particular household, it would be just us as a family. And so imagine that family being from Abaco and now being evacuated and sent over to Nassau. You know, you don't have Haitian family members, you don't have Bahamian counterparts, you don't know anybody, and now you're at a government shelter. And so people are wondering what is going to be next after this. And so there's a lot of confusion. Of course, the community is mourning. There's still countless missing persons, persons who are unaccounted for. And indeed, that's exactly what it is. Abaco is all they know. You know, ever since leaving Haiti, I met a guy who was in Abaco for over 30 years, have never in his life set foot in Nassau. And he, obviously visited Haiti because he's legal and he has traveling rights, but he knows nothing about Nassau. So the majority, again, like we were saying, these are people who are not from Nassau. Abaco is all they know. And so many have chosen not to take part in the evacuation exercise and to come over to Nassau because that's all they know. This time I want to say kudos to the leaders and the different various organizations in the Haitian community, the Haitian embassy, the Haitian government, because in my opinion, from what I've seen and being a part of a lot of it and being in some meetings, the Haitian community for the most part is really answering the call. You have organizations like UHAB, which is the United Haitians Association in the Bahamas, something like that. You have the Haitian League of Pastors, the the charge d'affaires, Mr. Dorval Dallier from the embassy, listen, he was out there at the shelters, you know, in his suit and all, because he was having meetings, still assisting with lifting. You know, we have relief efforts just like Head Knowles and others. We have international Haitians abroad in Canada and the United States, as far as France, contacting us and trying to find out how can they send items on over. And so UHAB will be receiving stuff. Rights Bahamas will be receiving on behalf of the community. We have containers coming in as early as Friday. We have, for example, my president, Stephanie St. Fleur, she and a team from our Migrants' Rights Committee, they are currently right now at Superwash. They went to the shelters and they were picking up dirty clothes, taking lists, taking the clothes, bagging them up separately so that people's stuff doesn't get mixed up, tagging those, and they are currently at Superwash washing these people's clothes for them, just to help them. You know, there's nothing like clean clothes, you know, just to help these people to have a little bit of dignity and to be clean, you know. And so there's a lot happening. There's a lot, you know. We're helping NEMA in comprising the missing persons lists. We're taking all forms and manners of, you know, relief items, you know, personal care items that people would need. We are going over at the hospitals and checking on those that are sick and that are injured. We've been working with BTC and Alive and ensuring that people get, you know, cell phone communications to speak to their families. I mean, the Haitian community, you know, for the first time, in my opinion, has really come together. We had a meeting the other day where all of the various organizations sat down in one room and decided that, guess what? We're going to put everything aside that we may have against each other, and we're going to come together for this one cause. And so I want to give kudos to the Haitian community.
This team just came together, and there's been so much to do. And as you know, Dr. Strong, this was the worst hurricane in the history of the Caribbean. It was Category 5 with 23-foot surges. So many people lost their homes, and sadly many people lost their lives. But Rotary came together, the 5 clubs, to put our disaster relief together, and groups like Bahama Strong just appeared like angels. All of a sudden, we're here trying to figure things out. We got vehicles going around, and Bahama Strong came and said, how can I help? And we said, well, how can you help? We need help distributing. They said, no problem. They had a vehicle. I didn't know who they were, never heard of the organization before. They came out with the East. They were loading in, and so it's just been, in the middle of all these hardships and sorrow, the only good thing about this is people have come together. And it's very touching to see people helping people.
My memorable things, if I want to say, is the people, the Bahamian, are very friendly and very joyful. They lost, some of them lost family members and houses and almost everything, but still they smile. It is really amazing.
Rotary has been instrumental in being the first ones on the ground to hand out supplies, hand out water. Of course, we have a water plant located just north of the Hawksbill gas station, and we set up 2 warehouse distribution points. I'm not gonna lie to you, going in those areas, everybody has a heartwarming story. So I didn't know or didn't expect to hear about all of those, as well as the generosity and the graciousness they received. They just was humble and grateful and thankful to receive items such as, like I say, simple as water, simple as ice, simple as just a hand towel, paper towel, everything and anything they accepted. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I heard a lot of stories, and if you hear about what happened, their experiences, you will be moved and touched by what they said.
These are all the disposables and foil pan, steam pan, lids, cutlery kits to be able to feed all the people in Abaco and Grand Bahama. We're going to load up 2 dry containers and two reefers with a number of products. As you go back, you'll see them all. It's pallets of stuff getting ready to go. We're going to pick them up all quickly, along with the pots and the kitchen smallware that I mentioned. This going way back is all stuff. We're getting ready to go.
These are some of the pots. We've already put a lot of cooking spoons, ladles, all the stuff it needs that you need to set up a kitchen. We've already put them on the container. This is the balance of the stuff here. As you can see, these are big stock pots. All things they can get ready to cook hot meals on the island as they go down to help our fellow brothers and sisters that are dealing with this situation on Abaco and Grand Bahama.
I've been stationed at the government clinic here in Marsh Harbor, joining a team of physicians both from Nassau, the private and public sector, and a team that came up from Doctors Hospital. The majority of what we're seeing are soft tissue injuries, old lacerations, cellulitis, basically people having infections after injuries from the storm. I have to say it's been a large effort, both from government, from private agencies. The clinic is being well run, well managed. Folks are getting the medications they need, and we've been able to get initially the most critical ill patients medevaced out. After that, the folks that were less ill, women that were pregnant pretty close to their due dates, and then after that, people had more minor injuries. We've had a good supply train coming in. The folks from the global systems have been extremely helpful, and it's been a good feeling to see so many people coming together to help Abaco in a time of extreme dire need.
We're here helping the triage tent and taking some of the weight off what they're doing. We're doing triage too. We're actually assessing people who are coming in for chronic diseases and for any sickness and for injuries. And from then, we're able to treat them appropriately. And very thankfully, we've got medication that's been supplied to us. So we also have pharmacists here who are able to give at least 10 days supply worth of medication. We also have counsellors here too to be able to support those people who've been affected.
The kind of things that we're seeing are soft tissue infections. We see a lot of chest infections, upper respiratory tract infections, a lot of wounds, lacerations, and then a lot of chronic diseases. So people who have diabetes, who have hypertension, who've not been able to get their meds. And as Nurse Kate said, we have some medicine that's donated, so we are giving out supplies to them as best we can to try to take and alleviate some of the stress off of the peripheral clinics here in Nassau as well as PMH.
We're providing the transportation for Atlantis and the Jose Andres food delivery program. We're delivering to the heliport and several of the shelters as well. All right, so we've got like 4 vehicles committed, and we've contracted a luggage assistance to move the supplies to and from.
Right after the storm to help feed the persons who were in need. It was after 10, almost 11 o'clock at night, and everybody wanted to help, and of course we said yes. But what was most impressive to me was the fact that after I got off the phone with Gina and I called my employees who were in bed and expecting to be to work the next morning, everybody just wanted to know how they could help. So the staff came in at 3 o'clock in the morning, ahead of their time, to get the food prepared, package it up, and have it on the plane to fly to Abaco.
And we have a team of 8 specialists here in the Bahamas. This morning we've landed in Treasure Key, secured that airport. It is now landable. We've got a team there receiving supplies as they come in for personnel.
As most of you know, we were impacted by a storm a few days ago, and historically as a church, in the particular last 15 years, we've been set up to respond to natural disaster. We've been doing hurricane management for 15 years. And so for the most part, what that looked like is that we were a hurricane shelter, and so typically we would house evacuees, and they would just come in and be fed and taken care of. However, over the last 2 years, we've shifted our model to where we are now looking more at distribution. And a lot of that really came to the forefront with Hurricane Dorian. And so over the last week and a half, we have actually brought a lot of donated items here to the community center. We use this location as a drop-off point. And because of our strategic partners, we've been able to do a lot more than just donations. We've launched a call center where people can call in on a daily basis and ask questions about how to get help, where we actually have things in place by way of solution. We also have a number of organizations that have been partnering with us as strategic partners, whereby we are then trying to establish housing for them and get them into shelters around the island. So we're going to continue to partner with the government and also our corporate partners and our civic agencies in the weeks and months ahead as we determine what our country needs next. And as that model continues to blow out in new ways, we're going to just kind of figure out how to come together and strategize with all the powers that be to respond to not only short-term help, but long-term help as well.
My experience after Dorian cannot compare to what my colleagues went through when they were actually here during the storm. Seeing one of the strongest nurses I know cry was very disheartening to me. Like everybody, when I came in the day after the hurricane, it was chaotic.
I came to Albuquerque last week for a conference, 5-day conference, and the conference was supposed to be over on Friday, and then I heard that the hurricane was coming on Sunday, so I decided to wait and see what was going on. And then on Sunday, about 5 a.m. in the morning, the hurricane came and in my life, in Africa, we are not used to hurricane. I've never seen this kind of hurricane before, and the hurricane came in and everything was destroyed. And a lot of church people ran into a shelter place, and the shelter collapsed and killed a lot of people. We came out to the street to begin to see a lot of dead bodies on the street. And we had to go by the healthcare, and we went by the government house to assist a lot of people, to help them, to encourage them, and to give them hope, because a lot of people lost everything. People have lost all. They've lost everything right here in Mashaba, Albuquerque.
Basically tired, wiped out. A long, arduous fight, rescues and all that. The crews are going to head back home now. I mean, they've given it their all. I mean, the best we could have done, and we'll probably leave it to the locals and the internationals to carry on with the rescue services going on now.